Welcome back to Pole Barn Garage, where today I have made another financially devastating decision of buying another C3 Corvette. This one is a little worse than the last one we had. Let's dig into it. So as you can see, the hood has a quick release strap on it. Did manage to snag this thing for a cool $3 grand. It was well worth that. It came loaded with goodies, including those Corvette summer headlights there. Those need to be thrown in the trash as soon as possible. Originally silver on red. Nice car, except for somebody looks like they might have painted it with house paint. I don't know what this is. I'm pretty sure it's latex. It's certainly unique, if nothing else. She hasn't been off the road too terribly long. Inspection sticker says 2008, and it doesn't stink too bad in here. Steering column is going to be an issue. There are two columns laying here. One's a tilt, one's a straight. Here comes JD. He should be able to help me remove the hood. Did it latch?
I don't think it did on this side.
Literally under the hood, we have some of a small block. Yeah.
Spider webs and everything.
Headers, yellow Excel plugs in it, so you know it's fast. A chrome power steering pump, a chrome water pump. Looks like the incorrect water pump. I guess step one here, Jay.
Yep.
Let's put a steering column in it so we can get it into the shop, and then we can kind of assess what we're really working with here. It's got any, oh, it's full of oil. No water on the stick. That means nothing.
Oh, there's a spider crawling around in there.
They chromed the master cylinder too.
Oh.
Oh, they chromed the freaking hood latches.
They chromed everything.
Fancy. Oh, ooh, more chrome. Does this even line up with anything? This looks like truck brackets to me, but maybe it'll work. Somebody's disassembled this tilt telescope column. Actually, this all looks like column parts here. There's some keys. I didn't really take that column apart too bad. Pretty basic stuff. I could put that back together. I've done that before. I'd rather have the tilt telescope in it for sure. I don't know why they've removed it. I don't see anything particularly wrong with it. There was a brand new ignition switch in that box. I just snapped it in. And it's working. There's probably something I'm missing here and why they tore it out of the car. Well, the little chrome thing fell off that replacement ignition switch. So now I can just use whatever to turn it, and that's good enough for me. Those are problems for a later date when this car is, you know, a little further along than this. And then I discovered the reason why it was out of the car. Freaking lower bearing fell out of it. It doesn't want to go back in. It's all beat to hell around here. Let's go mess with the straight column. Yeah, that one's destroyed. Well,
it is?
We need a rebuild kit for it. All we need on this one is to get the damn thing to turn so we can unlock the wheel. So JD's going to drill it out. Well, it doesn't want to drill, so let's just take it apart. Lock plate puller on here. Now we can get this little wire off of here. We'll just remove the lock cylinder out of this. I might actually have another lock cylinder for one of these. And with the retainer out of the way, just back our puller off. Pull the retaining screw out. There's the old ignition switch. And I did have an extra. This is out of my Corvette. There we go. That's a functioning steering column there. Let's put it back together. Well, thankfully that was all for almost nothing. I don't know if we can use this. This is a 77 column, which we used our incredible powers of deduction to determine. Also, it has the dimmer switch in the column. 76 still had it on the floor. So we might be trying to figure out how to put that back together. Corvettes. Great fun. So what's wrong with this one is it's missing the plastic retainer for the bearing that goes on there. That's probably why they pulled it out of the car.
Yeah.
I don't have one. So let's just shove that column in it for now, just so we can move it, and then get it in here. We had to change the ignition switch. On a straight column, it pushes to start, and on a tilt column, it pulls to start. I just happen to have one in my cabinet. I don't know what the hell this is out of, but it does seem like it might work. This is probably going to be temporary anyway. I went ahead and ordered the bearing kit and everything for the correct column for the car. But this will get us by, and I mean, worst case scenario, we have an extra Corvette steering column laying around. But look at that. It works. And we're going to have another problem with this. The turn signal wiring is completely different on this because it has the dimmer switch and stuff in it. That changes all of that. So this is just going in for now, but at least we can install it, hopefully turn the car and maybe be able to crank the car too. Should be coming out that side. We've got the column loosely held up in there. JD's trying to get that thing splined on. Is it gonna work? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I have the bolt for that too, somewhere in there. I'm gonna tighten down the clamshell, squeeze it together. There we go.
Yeah.
It works. I'm assuming this doesn't have brakes, so good luck.
Okay.
Got any brakes?
No.
Got no brakes?
No. They felt good, but no brakes.
Typical. It's the chrome.
Yeah.
The terrifying winch does it again. We're going to be waiting on steering column parts for a day or two, but I do have small block Chevy crap, so we can slap this thing together. Probably tomorrow I'll have all the rest of the parts I need for that, and then we can see if it runs, and if it doesn't, then we have that small block to put in it. I don't mean to brag, you know, I've kind of hit the big time if you haven't noticed. I put a used window unit in the pole barn. We can work in comfort now. You want to run a shop vac through there, pick up all the debris?
Yes.
Get a bunch of chunks out of it?
Yeah.
It looks awfully clean in there.
It
I
does.
mean, I don't think it could possibly have that many miles on it. Well, we got to scrape gaskets off. Somewhere around here I have a small block Chevy intake we can throw on it. Maybe we change the oil while that's wide open, actually. Got a thinned aluminum oil pan on it. Guaranteed to leak. High dollar. Custom. Wait till you see the valve covers it came with.
JD, it's time. Extreme oil change madness.
Damn, this engine is really clean.
Yeah, it is.
I bet she's built tree fitty. 3/4 race cam. Got the finned transmission pan, chrome inspection cover, everything. Oh, that's water. That's not water, that's antifreeze. Uh-oh.
There's the oil.
Uh-oh. The
That's
oil sits on top of water.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not what I wanted to see at all, actually. Oh, man. Well, it's probably, the guy pulled the intake off and probably dumped a bunch of antifreeze into the valley. Let's go with that.
It wasn't that much.
No, just a little. It's got the mark of quality. The Fram oil filter.
Whoa.
You know, those are just cardboard inside. There's just like a piece of corrugated cardboard inside
really?
of the filter. Yes, they're absolutely garbage. Even the starter is chrome.
Yeah.
Good God.
Everything is chrome. All this, it's all wrapped with chrome heat protection.
Freaking disgusting.
This
No,
is
that's
chrome.
not heat protection.
It's not?
No, that's a braided hose kit. That was really cool in 1987.
You know,
dude, the
full set.
springs have been chromed.
Wait, what?
They're like red chrome. What? Fancy springs, chrome sway bar, and mounts. Somebody spent way too much money making this car the stereotypical boomer vet. I picked up this intake for 40 bucks at a swap meet a couple weeks ago. I wire wheel that up and clean it up. I do notice now that it's been cracked and welded together here. Well, I'm sure that won't be a problem at all. Generally, good practice with swap meet used intakes. Take a tap or a thread chase and run it through everything. I just cleaned up the hold down hole. Now we're going to go here to this thermostat housing hole, which has been stripped before. Maybe we can bring enough thread back into it. Oh yeah. Let's just start off with this, you know? A little bit of Lucas in there to thicken things up a little. I just have a feeling that it's probably not great For oil, we've got Valvoline VR1. It has all the zinc that an old flat tappet engine needs. No guesswork, you just pour it in. Now, they used very minimal silicone on this, didn't they? That's good for us. Pack some more towels down in there.
Yeah.
Then we'll whiz wheel it. And we gotta make a brand new intake real quick. Oh, there we go. Yep. Just bought this, actually. Yeah, I spent the big bucks. Oh, just like that, it was brand new again. And completely prepped. Get the valve cover surfaces cleaned up.
Yep.
Right on. I got the thermostat housing put on here with a new 160-degree thermostat. I got something kind of exciting, JD.
Yes.
I actually looked at the heads. I kind of just wrote this off as a typical small block. It's got double humps on it. It really does have double hump heads. They're 062s. That's a 66 or 67 small chamber head. That's why there's no accessory holes here. That's why they've ghettoed all the accessories on it. I think we're ready to put the intake on. Build our China walls. Just a nice big bead of this stuff. I never used the end gaskets. I did for a long time. The one time I had one push out, and ever since then I just do this.
Have you ever had these push out?
Nah. As long as you put enough goop on there, it's alright. And I put a little bit around the cooling passages on Chevy. That's just the front and rear. I'm going to take up any porosity around those. I'm going to get this guy in place, get him stuck to the silicone I just applied there, and it should help hold it in place. Between the intake and the head, I just put an extra big glob right there. Because that's where, if they're going to leak, they generally leak right there. Well, you know, I went ahead and got the chrome bolt set for it. It just didn't seem right to put regular bolts in it. The drop. Oh yeah. Splooged out real nice around the front and rear. I'm going to wipe out in the distributor hole. That was way too much. Oopsies. Our bolts started. Just go for one on each side, and that'll kind of tell you if it's centered. The center 4 bolts on a small block intake run right next to the push rods right here. They're actually open to oil. So if you just put a little bit of silicone on the threads of your bolts for those, then it won't let oil travel up the threads and then get oil all over your intake. It's just kind of a cosmetic thing. When you tighten down an intake, go from the middle out and then stagger them, just like you're tightening down a wheel or something. So boom, 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 boom. And then I'll do it like 3 times just to make sure everything gets seated. Well, I was going to throw a socket on the engine to roll it over to get to top dead center, but somebody has sheared the head of the bolt off that holds the balancer on. Now, if it's pressed on, it'll stay on there, but we're not rolling it over that way. Let me throw a battery in it and see if it'll crank. See if it lights on fire. Blower motor works. I had to change a terminal end on that. Somebody's converted it to top post. Yeah, at least it cranks. That's what the number 1 plug looks like. That's not good. We better yank all of those before we actually try to fire this. So go ahead and bump it, Jay. And both of these are very loose. It's coming up on compression right now. God, it just blew all kinds of oily crap all over me. You work on yanking plugs. I've got this distributor I got from O'Reilly. It's just a replacement thing. Never used one of these before, so I guess we'll see how it goes. Wait,
It was hand tight.
Are they all hand tight?
This one was. This one is too.
Oh God. Oh. It's a good one. Has a red cap, so it's fast. I very strongly suspect this is the same piece of crap Chinese distributor you get on Amazon for $39, except for 3 times the price. So maybe avoid that one. Well, that dropped right in. Kind of a pleasant surprise. Our little green mark there is number 1. We got all kinds of room to twist them around. How are the plugs cleaning up?
Cleaned up pretty good, actually.
Yeah, might as well save a buck. Probably throw some valve covers at it, I suppose. I want to wing this thing over, get all the oil out of it.
Alright.
Just let it crank for a little while and let's see what blows out of the cylinders. Keep going. Okay. There's gas in it. Well, we have a few choices for valve covers, you know. We could always go with the ones that came with that have these sick flames on them, bro. No. Those are going in the dumpster so they can't hurt anybody again. I got these valve covers from a local antique shop for $5. They're tall, chrome, cheapy valve covers, but they'll work. And I had some valve cover gaskets in stock, so good to go. Alright, one on. JD's got all the plugs in, just about. One left, right?
Yeah.
There we go. That's a lot of a small block done. This thing's actually going to look pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
All the chrome and the big tall valve covers. For fuel delivery this time, we have a used Quadra-Junk. Why? Because it's what we had. It's off my dad's Nova and it ran okay. So we'll go ahead and hook that up. Looks like I got to get a vacuum tee in the back. So here's the problem, right? We got early heads. They're double humps, double hump heads, 3/4 race cam. And we have late alternator mounting brackets and other accessories, which don't line up for shit, if you can tell. I think I could space that water pump pulley out enough to make it work. I don't have any other small block accessories, so short of buying an entire new accessory drive, let me see if I can't rig something here. But before I put any of that crap on, these Corvettes are a bitch to put a lower radiator hose on, and this one feels mighty soft. I would like to go ahead and change that while we're here. I have a new one. How much coolant is in you? Huh? Oh, much coolant. I'm glad we bit that bullet. I still got to replace it, but this thing, that was going to blow pretty quick. New lower hoses on there. I've been out here just tinkering away a little bit. I cleaned up the plug wires that were laying in the car and put them on. I slept on it. I feel like I should probably at least try to get that balancer bolt out of it. Now, in the 50s and 60s, all small blocks, except for high performance ones, just had a press-on balancer with no bolt at all. It's probably fine, but since that water pump pulley doesn't line up, I just want to make sure that, well, no, it's probably not that, because the power steering pulley lines up, but I just want to make sure it's not going to soon shoot off of there 4,000 RPMs. I really doubt I'm going to be able to get this out, but I gotta at least try. Oh my gosh, you can't get to anything on this. Boy, they've really jury-rigged this thing. I'm just kind of wondering if this thing is an early small block and it never had a bolt. Alright, I still can't see shit, but I can kind of get on it, maybe. It sure feels like it's broke off in there. That is a broken bolt, and you can see all the hammer marks on it where somebody beat the tar out of that balancer to put it on, which is not how you do that. I think I gotta pull it and try to fix it. I don't think that's on all the way. But hopefully this thing just comes right off. It did. Now, we got a few options here. We could maybe use a left-handed drill bit and get that thing moving. I might actually go buy a set of those just to try first. Option 2, I could probably get an air chisel on the end of that thing and try to drive it out, but it's dangerous because I could hit the crank. Option 3 is weld a nut to it, then back it out that way. I've never had a lot of luck welding nuts to things and pulling them that way. I just ran up, got some cheapy left-hand drill bits and extractors. It's worth a shot. I got nothing to lose by trying. You know, sometimes if you get lucky enough, the bit itself will just pull it right out. Drill these out, and then you can put an extractor in it if you feel really brave or stupid. In this case, it's not rusted in there, so I think we might get away with it. Well, the bit didn't do it, so I'm going to try an easy out. These never work, ever. But can this just be the one time, maybe? It doesn't feel like anything good's going to happen here. I'm going to end up breaking this off, but I guess it doesn't matter. Ah, yep, there it went. Well, that sucks. Let me get the welder out. I have a washer here. Try to weld the washer to the bolt that's broke off in there. It's broke off just below flush, which is why this is probably not going to work. Otherwise, guys, I think we're probably looking at pulling an engine. Hooray! I know, maybe I should have just left it alone. You guys feel free to criticize as you see fit. The welder cranked up as hot as it'll go, which isn't very hot. It's been a couple hours, and I've managed to get a nut stuck to it a few times, and it's not coming out of there. I'm gonna try it one more time. I've already mangled the shit out of that crankshaft snout. Just by splatter and stuff. I mean, it might clean up. I don't know. I'm looking at the motor on the stand going, I probably could have swapped that by now. I can't get that out of there. The motor's got to come out. So all that was for nothing. That's great. And I think I'm going to have to take the crank to a machine shop to get that pulled. It's not coming out. I don't know what they've done. I definitely have hit it with enough heat. Weld, that front seal's wasted. Well, let's get to work. I guess I'll start tearing everything apart. And then we'll pull the crank and send it to a machine shop to get that fixed and put it in another car. Let this be a lesson to you younger guys out there that sometimes life just sucks. And there's only one thing you can do about it, and that's get the hell over it. And just keep moving forward. It's all you can do. The chrome power steering pump out of the way. I guess if I had to try to find a bright side here, it's that it doesn't seem like this has been assembled very long, and so all the bolts are coming out pretty easily. So that's a plus, you know? I'm hoping I can just pop the motor out and just leave the transmission there, maybe even leave the headers there, and just drop the other one right in. Let's get the torque converter bolts out. Got some kind of converter in this thing. Isn't that an anti-balloon plate on that for like racing? Getting a motor out of a Vette is kind of tricky. Typically I go over the side of the car, but I think in this case if I pop off one tire I should be able to kind of slip in and hopefully my boom will reach it. Good thing is they put the motor so far back I don't think I need to pull the radiator, so that's nice. I'm down to just pulling the engine mount bolts and she should be ready to be plucked. Get a jack under the transmission so it doesn't flop down. Well, I can get right to it now. Son of a bitch. I really boogered that crank up. I'm gonna yank the motor mounts while it's up here right in front of me. See, if it falls here, it'll destroy the car. Then I don't have to work on it. My help has arrived. You're late.
Hello. Hello.
What up? You're supposed to be helping me pull this, and here it is, pulled.
You said it would take hours.
Now we have to put one back in. Oh, God. Censor that for the EPA.
Yep.
All over my brand new shoes.
Why would you wear brand new shoes
I'm
here?
kidding.
So this is the motor out of the tan Shorty van we bought in Phoenix, Arizona. Junior lives.
Van live.
So this is the van I'm buying. It's an 84 Shorty van. It does sound good. The van drives awful. It needs a set of tires really bad. Actually, it runs pretty good. And it was a pretty spicy little dude. It's got a little cam in it, and it's a pretty fresh crate motor, other than all the oil leaks. Let's see if we can polish this turd a little bit, strip it down, get it shoved in the hole. We might even paint it. I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let the peeing commence. Yeah, hey, somebody put a really stupid chrome water pump on this one too. This is, of course, a desert motor, which means nobody runs antifreeze, which means there's no rust protection, and the cooling system, which means it's probably really gross. We'll ignore it. I don't know what the hell good these would be, but I guess I'll keep them around because I'm kind of a hoarder. We got to pull that oil sending unit because that is not like the one in this car, at least. And the distributor will have to come out too, but for the time being, we'll leave it in there just to plug a hole. And then we will super clean the hell out of it and make this thing spick and span. Yeah. Want this thing to look like Columbia on Christmas. I can see smells. Here, let's mix chemicals. Alright, now we let this stuff marinate for a while. Now we gotta agitate it, you know. I'm not gonna power wash it because then everything would be nasty, and we're not moving the damn car out, and I don't care that much. Alright, time for power washing. Look at that, huh? Looks like new. Yeah, maybe we're somewhere in the 7th or 8th dimension now with all the brake clean in this enclosed space. Thanks to my new air conditioning units. Yeah, it's pretty bad in here, not gonna lie to you. But she is pretty much ready for a quick spray bomb. I'm just gonna paint the whole thing orange. Oh yeah, she's gonna look sharp. You just need 3 or 4 coats over the grease and that'll really help it out, you know. It'll just kind of blend in. The smell tastes like the color, man. And we'll put some chrome valve covers on it, you know, really spruce the thing up and put all that stupid chrome shit that was on that other engine on it too. Oh yeah, look how clean that baby is inside. It looks really nice. Hell yeah. That's where the oil leak was. That bolt there goes clean through to the push rod for the fuel pump. I was just getting ready to put the fuel pump on it, and that bolt is missing. I'm glad I noticed. If you want to hold the fuel pump push rod up, you put a long bolt in this hole here, and it'll hold the push rod up so you can install your fuel pump. But when you take it back out, you've got to put a bolt back in that hole, or it'll leak oil like a son of a bitch, which it was doing. Now with that bolt driven all the way in, the fuel pump push rod stays up. I can get the fuel pump under it, no problem. But then I'm going to put a short bolt back in there with a little RTV on the threads so that we don't have that oil leak again. Alright, I got this thing rolled over on top dead center again. We had to make a mark on it. See how far off that mark is? This is true top dead center. Both of our valves are shut, piston's all the way up. I can verify the piston is up. Can't get a screwdriver up on top of it. We'll make our 0 degree mark right here-ish. It's going to give us something to go off of at least. It may not be perfect, but it's better than going off of that, which is almost 30 degrees out of position. I'm going to drop in our new distributor. Might as well do that. The other distributor is actually a 5-pin HEI. You can see it's got the goofy like fuel injection harness on it. We don't want that thing. Our fuel pump is installed. This block is a one-piece rear main seal block. You can tell because it has all this crap wrapped, around there. That does require a special flex plate, which I have. I don't have any bolts though. I think the bolts are the same. I'll rob them out of that. The one-piece seal is actually superior to the old rope style seal by a long shot. So, basically we're upgrading everything. Torqued. So we got to go in kind of weird with this Corvette. Yes, very nice. Here's where we're going to run into some problems. Try to line up the transmission with the engine. Said big changes?
No, baby steps.
Oh.
Yep. There it is.
And let me zip these bottom ones on. Drop right in. Hell yeah. Just like that, the new 350 is installed in its new home in this Corvette. I just been plinking along out here, just trying to get this thing reassembled. Let's try to get that thrown together, see if we get it to fire up. I have to go to Wyoming next week to go see some family. I am going to film it because we're going to drive the LTD. You guys are going to see it, but we're kind of on a time crunch here. We're just going to get done whatever I can get done, and you'll see a part 2 on this car if you want to. We got one more bell housing bolt to put in, and torque converter bolts, hang the starter on it. I'm just going to kind of zip through. Fast forward. I'm not sure if this is because it's a van motor or a newer engine, but the dipstick's on the passenger side on this one. That dipstick won't work. I have a couple, but they're all short, and there's just not, it won't reach down there. So I'm going to use the van dipstick, which is absurd, obviously, but we will just cut the tube down and then cut our dipstick to length when we change the oil in it, so we can just make a mark. It's full, you know, there you go. This will at least plug the hole for now, and I won't forget about that because it's, yeah, it's kind of in the way. Let's go ahead and hang our water pump on here. And yeah, we'll go ahead and put the super chumpy chrome water pump on because I'm guessing there probably wasn't nothing wrong with it. And on these, they do go into the water jacket, so it's not a bad idea to make sure you clean the threads up real good and put a little bit of RTV or thread sealant on the threads. Not a lot, just a little. Naturally, I installed the engine on top of the power steering pump, and there's not enough room to snake it back up, so guess I'm going to go unhook the power steering pump underneath the car so I can install it. But our carburetor is installed, our PCB's hooked up, we got the water pump on, alternator bracket is in place. And I did notice one thing. I throw this water pump pulley on, and our pulley alignment still sucks. I was kind of thinking that that was indicative of the balancer not being installed all the way on the other engine. And that may not have been the case. It might have been pressed on there all the way. I'm back at it today. I'm just kind of wrapping things up underneath. Can get this header collector bolted up. Oh, I'm going to button all this up. Let's see if we can at least get this thing to run. And then maybe we dig into the brakes. Little things like this make all the difference. If you ever wonder how I afford to do all these cars and stuff, it's because I shop the clearance racks, alright? That says $5.17. It was actually like $2 for those collector gaskets, and I only used one, so I still have an extra. Well, I'm on to accessories, which was a problem in the first place, and it's a disaster. This isn't going to work. There's no way. I mean, not one of these pulleys lines up, except for the power steering pump. It lines up okay. We have a conglomeration of chrome things that somebody bought at a swap meet and said, ooh, it's shiny, I'm putting it on my car, without really thinking about it. Let me scrounge around here and see if I have any kind of accessories. I have basically nothing. Everything I have is for a truck, which is going to be for a long water pump, and this is a short water pump. So this needs a Corvette accessory drive, is what it needs. The Corvette alternator is supposed to go on the other side of the car. I found the right brackets. Probably going to be a week before they get here. I'll be in Wyoming. Let's drop the oil on the thing. At least make sure it starts. We can't run it too long without a water pump, but a little bit won't hurt it. Oh yeah, still looks like brand new. Now I considered draining the new oil out of that, but I'm not that cheap. But this VR1, while probably the best oil you can use in your old engine, it is not cheap. We're all full of oil now. Let's go ahead and make our custom dipstick here. Oh, where to cut them? How about, I don't know, about right here. So I'm just going to take a guess and say that we cut it off here for starters. And then I'm going to take the burrs off the end of that so they don't drop into the pan. Alright, I can feel them hitting the pan there, but what this does do is tell us where the oil level is. So we could cut probably 3-4 inches off of this yet. Alright, now she locks down in there. Feels good. And yeah, looks like a normal reading to me. So we're just going to make a little mark on the stick here where full is. Right there. Simple as that. Now we have a dipstick. Let's see if it'll start, for starters. I know the fuel pump was working. This carburetor potentially junk. The gas in it didn't smell that bad, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's give it some love taps. And let me try to fill the bowl on it. There we go. Okay, timing's a little far off. Yeah, maybe not. Okay. It runs. That's a lot of crap burning off of that thing. Ah. Yeah, the thing seems to run halfway decent, so I'm calling that good for now. Once we have a water pump and everything, we can time it, of course. What's not good enough is the fact that it doesn't stop. So let's dig into that and see if we can find some problems. What in the name of God happened there? You know, all this stuff looks fairly new. I'm not sure when this happened, but at some point they started putting date codes on rubber brake hoses. And this one says 1999. And if you're keeping track at home, that was 25 years ago. So maybe we go ahead and replace it. There's probably nothing wrong with it, but I've got them. And let's just go through the caliper. And I'm sure the master cylinder needs attention as well. But if this thing was assembled in the late 90s, that kind of checks out, you know, with all the chrome crap. Step one, before touching brakes, soak the hell out of everything. Everything. Brake lines were pre-mangled. Thankfully, they've been converted to vice grip size. I just took that brake line off, and it just kind of sat here for a little bit, and then started running out, and it is just rusty black death. But I'm going to guess that rubber hose is plugged up, and so it wasn't letting any flow happen until I broke it free, and now it's flowing. That'll caliper off of there. It's got some fancy brake pads in it. They're red. Ooh. They're red spray painted. Extra high dollar. Anyway, I do have a good fix for these things to make sure that they never have a problem. We will put O-rings in them, and then they will be good forever. Now let me check the wheel bearings. They're fine. Broken off wheel stud. Well, if 4 won't hold it, 5 never would. Alright, this one broke free, no problem. So that's a good sign. Somebody's been here, somebody's done something. They just kind of need refreshing, and we can definitely do that. Look at that. Not one drop of brake fluid. I don't know if, I bet they never bled them. I think the rear brakes maybe haven't seen quite as much attention as the fronts. This one is probably the worst one. It looks less than good. Dig the old Monroe shocks there that are in really good condition, but an old shock, so again, kind of dating this thing. Get the hay out of here. Somebody's at least changed this line before. That's a good sign. Oh, never get lucky with these. Oh, but I did. Salvaged. My go-to for these rubber hoses is usually just to cut the rubber and then use a socket to pull them out of the car. That hose was an original, no doubt about it. Wait. I just tried to pull that E-clip off and this just snapped off the trailing arm. So that's, well, you really hate to see that, you know. So I'm gonna just, it was never there. Look, these freaking things aren't even compressed at all. Now, they haven't worked ever. Ooh. Oh, that's bad. Boy, we got our work cut out for us here. This brake line broke back here. I'm not shocked. It was pretty rusty compared to the others. I wonder if this thing got parked like with the ass end sitting underwater or something. Let me try to get that rubber hose off. That's really the big thing. Making a foot-long brake line ain't no big deal. There we go. Yep, we got lucky here. We'll probably just come out here tomorrow, rebuild these, maybe swap that master cylinder just to do it. And hopefully we at least get some brakes by the end of this video. Alright, we're back out here. Today's job is going to be get as much done as we possibly can. This is going to be my last day to really work on anything before I need to start packing and getting things ready to go to Wyoming. So, such is life. Everybody deals with the same crap. You know, I've done this before on the channel, on O-ringing and rebuilding C3 calipers. But let's do a step-by-step because this kind of applies to, well, really most brake calipers. So on these, there are 2 halves. Just take out the 2 bolts that hold them together. It's going to be messy and gross and nasty. It's dripping on my water bottle. You got your brake fluid. It comes in on this side through your brake hose right there. When you apply pressure to it, it pushes out these pistons, and then the rest of the pressure goes through these little holes here. It's got 2 little pass-through holes that allow the fluid to pass through to this side. Now there's 2 O-rings that seal those pass-throughs, And so you replace those when you take it apart. In fact, we can actually see that whether these were new or not, they were going to leak. This O-ring here has disintegrated. I buy these kits here. You can buy this whole kit for 200 bucks. Does all 4 brakes. And it's got pistons and O-rings and seals and everything. And I will show you the difference between an O-ring piston and a lift seal piston when we get there. But suffice it to say, when this style of piston sits for a long period of time, they leak. The O-ring style is kind of more a modern style, and they don't necessarily have that problem. So we're going to go ahead and knock all this out and then see what we're working with, clean everything up real good, and I'll show you how to reassemble. We got to get our dust seals out of here. Pick tool can be helpful with that. There we go. And we're not going to need those, so we can just kind of set those to the side. You see how bad a shape these were in, and look at all the corrosion inside of that caliper. So just because they look good doesn't always mean they are good. Alright, so they're gutted. We're going to wash them out. They're pretty gross inside. It's typical though. The bores look really nice still. You just want to make sure these passages are clean. I mean, would a parts washing cabinet or something make this easier? Sure would. But, you know, you probably don't have one. I don't either. That's kind of what we're all about here. I know lots of people try to, you know, say I need all this fancy stuff and whatever. And the fact is, you just don't. You can do almost anything to a car with basic hand tools and a little bit of creativity. Yeah, these bores look fantastic. They don't even need cleaned up. They look great. I will take a whiz wheel here and just kind of clean up the mating surfaces of the calipers. That's all there is to it. And I went ahead and pulled the bleeder out and cleaned it up, made sure it blows through clean. It's never a bad idea. Here's our new pistons. They're CNC'd aluminum, and they use an O-ring instead of a lip seal. So we just install the O-ring right in its little groove there. Then this is the dust boot. That's all it is. It just keeps crap out of it. See this guy here? That's a lip seal. I can flop that down. It doesn't cover 100% of that circle. It only pushes one way. That's why these have to have a return spring, is to pull them back. Well, they sit, and inevitably they will leak around the bottom of them. I have never seen a C3 Corvette that didn't have leaky brake calipers if it sat a lot, which, you know, they're usually owned by old people, and they do sit all the time. This kit is nice enough. It comes with everything you need. It even comes with a new bleeder screw, which I didn't know that. And it does come with these return springs. Now, these are kind of interesting because the old style uses a return spring. Well, technically, you don't really need that with the O-ring style. They just kind of float in there. I haven't used this particular kit before, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I've always just installed them with no spring at all. I'll put it in here and let's see what happens. Now, if you have a hard time getting these things in, use a little bit of brake fluid, and you can use that as a lubricant. They should just kind of pop in there. I don't like to use too much brake fluid as a lubricant, otherwise they don't hold themselves in like that. That's right, I forgot, you got to put the dust boot on. You got one groove on the back for your O-ring, and then one groove on the front for your dust boot. I think the metal side faces out, and it goes on something like that. So this should be right. I'm going to use a brass hammer to tap that in. Alright, both of our halves are assembled. Now we take our new O-rings that seal the halves together, and they just sit in here. You just kind of, there's a little bit of a groove for them to set in. You just kind of stick it down in there. So this side has the female threads on it, so you can just set your male side down on it with the bolts. And you don't want to be shimming it around too much, or you will knock those O-rings out of place. And then just kind of hold it together, give it a quick zip, and you're done. That's a rebuilt O-ringed C3 Corvette brake caliper. That one was pretty easy. I got a feeling the ones off the back of the car are going to be a different story. So let me knock out the two front ones, and then let's mosey back there and see what kind of mess we're in for. So here's the driver's rear, and it is less than ideal. Oh man. Oh, look at all that corrosion. Yep. That's why you always gotta look. However, the bore seems good in that one. And the bore seems good in that one. So the rear calipers are basically the same, except for they only have one pass-through O-ring, and the piston size is smaller naturally because they're on the rear of the car. Well, I did have one brake bleeder stick, and I managed to get it on the last try with the biggest extractor that would fit in there. It actually started to come out. That, folks, is what true victory looks like right there. Where's the rest of the bleeder, though? Uh-oh. Is it still in there? It is. Will it come out? It did. Beautiful. Fixed. So this is the worst one of the bunch, absolutely. We got a few pits in the bores here, but nothing I'm like super concerned about. I think they'll be just fine, especially with the O-ring. They're a lot more resilient than those old lip seals are. I know a lot of guys have trouble with these Corvette brakes, and all of the reman calipers suck. I mean, at one time I bought 8 of them and I got one good one. So if you just start off with putting these pistons in, either in your old ones or some remans, you're going to be so much better off. We clean these rotors up a bit before we slap it back together. Tighten up the brand new caliper. Hastily spray painted them black so that they look like brand spanking new. Now I did elect to break the bank and I bought some new pads for it. I know it doesn't really need them, but I guess if I've gone this far I might as well put some new brake pads in. Front and rear caliper on a Corvette actually uses the same brake pad. Now let me get this thing buttoned up, hook up the lines. We got to make one brake line for that other side there. And then I suppose let's just change the master cylinder just to be safe. Well, we got to make one brake line. I got the old brake line here, kind of eyeballed, guessed where it needs to be. I'll be using my SURR brake flare tool. I get asked about this thing all the time. It's not sponsored. It's just a tool I really like. So it's SURR. You ask me what brake flare tool it was, you can rewind the tape. You got to stick a brake line, right? First step, deburr it. That's probably the most important part of making a flare. We have to set it up in a die, right? So I'm going to pick my 3/16 die here. We're going to get him set into this little die holder thingamajig. We have to make sure that the brake line is flush with the end of the die. So it actually comes with a little attachment you put into the hydraulic pistol thingy here, and this will make sure your brake line is flush. Snug this down. I stick the brake line through the die all the way up to the pusher thingy. Again, not a sponsored product. I don't know what the terms they use are, and it's just a flat piece that makes sure that the brake line is flush with the die. So now we have to tighten our die up. It comes with a little T-bar. I don't think that gets it tight enough. I use an impact. And we're going to move on to Operation 1. Operation 1 is this guy, and he makes the outer part of the flare. And the cool thing about this thing is you just snap them in just like that and you're done. Snap it into here, and then it's hydraulic. You just squeeze it, and I'm going to squeeze it till I can't squeeze anymore. I'm going to release it. Boom. The outer part of the flare is done. Now the last thing we got to do is Operation 2. Operation 2 is the cone, and it makes the inside part of the flare. We're talking about an inverted flare. It's outside and inside. I'm going to squeeze this together. I'm going to squeeze till I just can't do it no more. I'm going to let off. And every time, I have made probably 100 brake lines with this tool, and not a single one has leaked. That is a beautiful flare. Just perfect. Put our nut on. I'll make the other end of this, and then we can put this brake line on. This thing makes making brake lines a cakewalk. I used to dread it. Now I don't really sweat it too much at all. They're about 300 bucks for this kit. You can find them on discount. I think I got mine like 20 bucks off. They don't want to sponsor or do anything like that with me. I can't even get a hold of anybody there. So I can't get you any kind of deal. but it's still a good tool. Try to get this master cylinder off of here. It might be fine, it may not be, I don't know. Jeez. Oh. That thing's been on there for a minute. Now, is the brake booster any good? I have no idea. Do I care? A little, but we'll figure that out once we start driving the car. They are a bitch to put in these cars, so I am not going to jump that gun. Oh yeah, full of corrosion. Like you can see the corrosion all around this thing, so it's probably not too bad. Just a simple cleanup, put it back together. It'll probably be great, but I'll replace it. Time to bench bleed this baby. Oh, it's got a hell of a spring in that one. I prefer to actually bench bleed a master cylinder so I can feel it, you know. I like to be able to feel the piston. You can feel the air in there and don't have to go right off the bubbles. And this is my preferred way to do it. God. Okay, I need 2 hands. New master cylinder is installed. I have a vacuum bleeder hooked up to it. I've had kind of hit or miss results with Corvettes, specifically in a vacuum bleeder. It might work, it may not, so let's just find out. So the rear calipers have 2 bleeders, and you want to bleed the inside one and then the outside one, I think. Yeah, it looks like it's working this time. Since the line was totally dry, I'll probably let it do at least 1 full reservoir through it. Well, I'm on to the front. I don't love the rears. I mean, they bled. There was fluid coming out, but that's really all you can know with this thing. It's pretty good at like flushing a system, but I don't know. I figure we'll just see what happens and what they feel like. Well, the front brakes bled a little bit better. I guess I just see what the pedal feels like. Well, it sucked down both reservoirs like it filled up the calipers. Well, the brakes are definitely working, but pedal feels really soft to me. I don't see anything pouring out of it, I don't think. I had to have Jess come out to help pressure bleed these and see, and at least I'll be able to be down here with them and see if something's splooging out of it. The only one I noticed that wasn't working 100% correctly is this one. But even that, I mean, you can see those pistons have some pressure on them, but this one's a little wacky. Yeah, you want to pump them 3-4 times? Alright. This outer bleeder had quite a bit of air in it. You want to do it again? There we go. That looks right. And we blew a brake line on the other side. Better to know now than later. Oh no, don't be that one. It is this line that runs, I think it runs to a T over there somewhere. I'm about to dig into that. I'm pretty sure I have a replacement brake line right there. I don't know what that's for, but it looks like it's about the right length, ready to go. I shop on Holly's clearance a lot and bought a whole brake line set for some kind of Chevy truck for like $7, literally. And just so I could have a bunch of pre-made brake lines laying around. New brake line on, replaced it. That random one I had was just about perfect for it. So, and it's stainless steel, so it should never leak again. Alright, pump them up. Rear brakes seem to bleed out okay. Let's try the fronts and hope nothing pops. Pump them up. Oh, tons of air. Okay, you said it has brakes.
I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Oh yeah. That's 1,000 times better than it was. Something about a hole in a brake line probably, but and they don't pump up, which is my indicator that they're probably good. With that, I am out of time. Little inside baseball for you. I have tomorrow to edit this, and then I have to be on the road. So this is everything I could get done in like 4 working days, basically. Thank you, Jess. Without that, we would have been at a loss. But we do have a Vette that runs now, and we have a brake system in the Vette now. We just have to put the rest of the Vette together. And you know what? I think we'll just go ahead and paint the stupid thing too, because mostly out of spite, because fuck this thing. Anyway, if you want to see a part 2 or part 3 on this car, let me know. We can make that happen. We'll see you guys next time on Pole Barn Garage. Thanks for watching. I know the video is a little bit different, but it is what it is. See ya.